Hi everyone, Niall here. Welcome back to the 8020 BIM channel. Today we're going to talk about how you can quickly generate this style of kitchen within Revit by just using the default Revit families. This exercise all in all takes less than 20 minutes, and as you can see it's actually a relatively high quality output, perfectly good for early stage design development of kitchen layouts and that kind of thing. All of the cabinets, basically everything you see here comes within the default families of Revit. There was no external families that had to be located, and it's perfectly fit for purpose for the majority of kitchen designs. And the cabinets and the units themselves that you get are nicely editable. You can go into the family and you can quickly change the presentation and reload it, and it doesn't lose any of the parametric association. So I highly recommend that if you're starting to model in Revit and you're trying to do your first kitchen, start with the default family so you understand how well the families can function. And then if you want to go and find something a little bit flashier on some of the external family utilities, you can do that afterwards, but at least familiarize yourself with the workflow. So my name is Niall, this is 8020 BIM. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video and you get some value out of it. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is to actually load in all the various family members that you would require for your kitchen, okay? And you can see here that I've got two small family members still remaining, so I'll just delete them away. So to start, when you come into your Revit environment, you will see the architecture tab, and in our sample view here you can see that we basically have four walls, a couple of windows just to lighten up the scene, and that's about it. I also have two sections created, one that's going to show off the cabinetry that we're going to model in this location, and another one that's going to show off the island in the reverse. Okay. So before we start, we want to load in our files. So if you go to Insert, Load Family, in the default folders for Revit, be it the UK, the US, or any other default, you will see that there's a folder called Casework. And this Casework has the majority of the family types you're going to need. I'm not going to go through the process of bringing in every individual family type that we use here because there's quite a few, and they're not necessarily going to match what you're going to need on your site. So the best thing to do is to go through each of the folders and begin to familiarize yourself with what is readily available for you to use within the default families in Revit. There's actually quite an extensive library that you can use. And the great thing about it is it doesn't follow any particular style. It's not like it's a standard shaker style door or a very clean modern look. Each of the families are quite easily editable afterwards if you want to use it as the base for a more advanced kitchen model, such as a more modern take. So I'm not going to go through the process of taking in all the files, but we have base cabinets, countertops, and any variant of countertop you'd need is there. We have shelving, and shelving is quite straightforward. There are actually two of them are base units and one is just a wall shelf. We have tall cabinets, so you can see that we have an integrated one with an oven grill situation, or we have an open one if you have your own oven grill combination or your oven microwave combination that you want to add, and a few generics such as a tall cabinet that could house maybe an integrated fridge or shelf units, or maybe just a large door to represent a pantry or something like that. And again, then we've got wall cabinets, and we've got multiple variants of the high level wall cabinets available as well. Okay. Outside of that, the other folder I'd recommend you become familiar with are the specialty equipment items. So if you go into specialty equipment and you go into domestic, you will see that you have the cooktops, the under-counter oven, dishwashers, dryers, extraction hoods, all the things you typically find in a kitchen. There's also a small kitchenette already readily modeled if you want to use that as a base for an apartment or something like that. So all the stuff you're going to need is there in terms of generics. They're not particularly beautiful, but they're good enough to get a design put together for client review. Finally, I would also recommend that you become familiar with the furniture folder for all of your seating, table requirements, that kind of thing. So, rather than bring in each individual item, I'm going to leave you to discover that for yourself and to take in what you desire, okay? Cancelling that, after we have brought in each of our individual items, we can begin to start modeling, okay? And when we go to the architecture tab, when we touch component, you will see that on the breakdown, after we've loaded in all of our families, we have a huge selection of families here. And I'm going to begin to start to develop the kitchen design that you saw in the thumbnail at the start of the video, okay? So to start that, we're going to need some tall cabinets. So scrolling down, we're going to go to our Casework tablet, sorry, apologies, Casework Toe cabinet 1, and I'm going to place that. And at the moment we have no idea what we're after generating, and this explains why I've set up the sections ahead of time, okay? So double clicking into the section, you can see that we've placed actually a double unit there, and that's not necessarily what we want. So I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to go back to sample kitchen, press WT, and you can see that I've also got a 3D view already set up with an extraction hood, so I'll remove the extraction hood. I'm going to close the 3D view for the moment. I'm going to press WT again, so I just tile the plan and the section so I can see what we're doing. Now I'm going to select that cabinet type, and I'm going to change it to this cabinet type, and this is going to act as a placeholder for our integrated fridge. I'm also going to copy that across 600. Okay, and what I'm going to do on both these instances is I'm going to select both of them and I'm going to move them to a joint to the wall tight. Okay, now this is not the way to design a kitchen, I'm just setting it out roughly for the moment. Selecting the second cabinet on the inside, I'm going to scroll down and we're going to select our pantry cabinet option that we brought in. So this is going to act as our integrated fridge freezer, and this is going to be our one of our tall pantry presses. Okay. What I also want to do then is I'm going to select both of them, and from the midpoint of the wall here, I'm going to, apologies, I selected the model mirror tool. I'm going to pick the axis, and from the midpoint I'm going to draw and mirror them across. Okay, so we have the pantry doors there and we have the pantry door there, which is as per the thumbnail at the start of the video, and now we want to change this out. And we have brought in the integrated oven tower unit. So when I select that, you can see now that we have the integrated tower unit. And I'm just going to align the edge to the edge there. And again, similarly, I'm just going to make sure that we are going right into the corner of our wall construction. Okay, now we've done that, we can go back into our architecture tab, select component, and then we're going to navigate to our casework. And I want to use our lower casework elements. So the first thing I think I'll pick is one of our doubles there. Okay, and again, I'm going to align it to the cabinet adjacent. And you can see that we've put in a drawer and a pull down bar there as well. Okay. So this could actually be a drawer unit that slides out as well, and it could be multi-level in behind. Selecting that, copying it over. We're going to select a new casework type again. And bear with me for a moment while I try to identify an appropriate one to bring in. I'm going to select a 900 by 300. Okay, and this is going to be our primary cabinet in the center of this construction here. And the reason we're going to use that is because it's actually going to house the hob on top. So where we have the dual presses below and the drawer set, we can have all of our cooking utensils, our pots and our pans directly under our hob on top. Okay. Then from that, finally, I'm going to copy this unit across again. And we're going to change that to the single base door. Okay, and that's 500. Again, I'm going to align that to the center, and I'm going to align this to here. Okay. Moving on from that, going back to our component tab, I am going to navigate to our hood, and I'm going to select our 600 by 900. I think is plenty for this, and I am going to just click into space there. I actually don't think that looks correct, so I'm going to change that to the larger variant, the 900, because we have the 900 cabinet below, and that looks a little bit neater. So looking at this block of 3 here, I want to move the center point of this into the center point of the wall. And now I know that if we work from the center line of this cabinet out the way, then we're going to evenly set out across the wall, and then at either end we can put in our filler pieces. So in the section view here on the right hand side, I'm going to go to my modify, and I'm going to align. I'm going to select the midpoint of this, and I'm going to modify the hood above. Then I'm going to, looking at this cabinet here, we kind of have a bit of a gap, and I want to enclose that gap. So that gap currently is 150. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to edit our casework base double here. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to call the first digit 700, I'm going to press OK, and then on the width, I'm going to change the width value to 700 just to close some of that gap. Okay, and again, I'm going to just use my align tool to that side. And as you can see, we still have a gap between the two units, but that's okay because you shouldn't design a kitchen where the cabinets are tight to the wall. You should always allow a little filler piece, and that means you can properly swing your doors open. So selecting our two units there, I'm going to move them to 50mm to join the cabinet adjacent. And then you can see we have a gap here. Okay. Similarly, I want to ensure that over here we're following the same gap convention as the other side. So I'm going to move that 50mm. And we have a 500mm cabinet here. So again, if we wish, we can change this and we can press edit type. I'm going to duplicate and I'm going to set that to 700. Press OK. And on our width, we're going to set our 700mm to our width there. Press OK. And then we merely need to move that 100mm approx. So we have a little bit more of a discrepancy on this side than we did on the other side, but that's no problem because we can select our entire assembly where you can move it across. Now, this is starting to take a bit of shape here in the section on the right hand side. So what do we need to introduce now? Well, we need to introduce our countertop on this side. So going into the architecture component, we're going to navigate down and select our countertop. And we're going to pick our 625mm depth there. And we're going to select this location. We're going to make sure that the join at the back meets the face of our wall so that we have a 25mm overhang approximately on the front face there. Okay. And then we can literally select our handle on either side and contract it back to meet the extents. So now we have a countertop that looks correct for the amount of space that we have, plus a little splash rail on the back. We can model a splash guard if you like, or you can use a material pattern on the wall to represent tiles. It's up to you how you want to do that. We won't cover that in this video. Following on from that, when we go back into our component again, because we brought in our specialty items, our specialty equipment items, we can scroll and find our electric hob. And on our electric hob here, you can see there's an offset and it's automatically set to level 0. So if I was to place this, it will go down to the floor. That makes 0 sense, okay? So when we're placing our hob, we use our level plus the offset value. We know that this counter is 900mm above. So we're going to set our offset value to 900mm. And then we're going to select the midpoint. And as you can see, we have our hob arrangement directly centered with our cabinet below, our fume extractor above, but also sitting perfectly on top of the counter. Now you may wish for that to be recessed, in which case you give it an offset value of 875, and you can see that you get a smoother, more recessed unit. Okay, and what you need to do then is change out this countertop for one of the ones with a cutout. So it's up to you how the hob is modeled, because you may wish your hob to be proud and sit atop the counter, or you may wish to be integrated within the counter. Okay, so now that we've done most of our base cabinetry there, we're going to put in 2 high-level units here. And I'm only adding that. I don't think aesthetically it's going to be particularly pleasing, but I'm adding the high-level units so that we can show how they're populated. So going into our component again, we're going to go to our wall-based units. Give me a moment while we find them. And I'm going to select this 600 by 300 here, okay? And I'm just going to place one here and one on the reverse face. Again, press an AL for align. I'm going to align to the edge. And I'm also going to align to the top of this cabinet here. This is the height that we want all of our kitchen units to extend to. I'm again going to select that height, and I'm going to snap over here. And again, I'm going to select the edge that we want to join it to, and I'm going to select there. So now we've got, it looks a little bit higgledy-piggledy at the moment because we have this kind of up and down arrangement going across the elevation of the kitchen. So what we want to do is get some sort of uniformity. So if I select this unit here, this is our lead unit, and this is going to inform the rest of the design. This is 2105mm high. So what we want to do is edit these cabinets on either side to be 2105 high. So selecting our units, you can see that these two units are the same. So because they're the only instance of the unit, we don't need to duplicate them. We can just edit the type. So editing type, I'm going to rename it just so it is correct, 2105 millimeters. I'm going to press OK, and we're going to change the height to 2105 millimeters. I'm going to press OK. And as you can see, they're after growing. I'm also going to select this unit here, and I'm going to move this back at 18.5. So we should have 50 mil clear on this side. So, yep. Finally, I'm going to select this unit, and as before, we're going to rename it. We're going to call it 2105 millimeters. And then we're going to change the value to 105 millimeters, press OK. And you can see now we've got a consistency along the top of our cabinets. It reads a lot better. Where we're still lacking consistency is on our base units, and where we have the toe or the plinth of the kitchen cabinets. We need to edit them now. So going back into this family, I can edit type, and you can see that there's a range of values here. And you can see on the bottom, there's the plinth height. And we're going to set that to 90 mil. To match the unit adjacent. So press 90 mil, press OK, and you can see that we now have a consistency in our plinth height. Selecting this unit again, we're going to edit type, and we're going to change the plinth height to 90 mil. Press OK, and finally we're going to select our primary unit, and we're going to set the same again. Okay. Also note, this can sometimes be called the toe height. Okay, so don't get confused if you see plinth height or toe height or plinth depth and toe depth. It's the same thing, okay? Press OK. And now we've got a lovely uniformity present across our kitchen. In order to complete this wall now, what we need to do is put a filler piece on either side. So again, going to our component, you can see that we have Casework wall unit filler, 75 mil depth, okay? And on this side, I can select anywhere to place this. So I'm going to place this here, okay? Selecting that, I'm going to move it, and you can see that it can't move anywhere, and the reason for that is it's locked. Now I've made an error here, and the reason I've made the error is because I've actually selected the high level one and not the generic one. So going back to the component, I mistakenly picked the wall unit filler. What I really wanted was the base unit filler. So sorry, let me go and locate that there now. So again, here we are, and you can see that it's going the full depth of the 600 that we wanted, okay? So I'm just going to place there in the corner, and because it's 75 mil, you can see it's a little bit wider, but the great thing is it has these little drag handles, so we can drag our handle to snap there. And you can see in our elevation it doesn't look correct, okay? So what we can do here is we can edit, we can duplicate type, and we can call this 2105. 2105. Now I'm going to get a warning here because it's going to say that it's already in use. And that's because I previously ran through this exercise to familiarize myself with it. So I'm going to cancel that, and I'm going to select the 2105 unit that I'd already made. And you can see that goes to full height. Again, our plinth or our toe height is not correct. So going back and editing that family, we can change that to 90 mil. I'm going to press OK. And again, we should be able to just mirror this across the center line. And now we have our infill piece for the other piece. And now we have a completed galley segment of our kitchen, although this is not a finalized kitchen. When you're designing a kitchen, you want to work to the rule of triangles. So just familiarize yourself with the concept of that. It's an architectural design principle that allows for a greater flow in a kitchen and makes it feel more workable. So although we're not going into that in this video, it's something to familiarize yourself if you're designing a kitchen. Now that we have this wall complete, we want to actually add a small island out here. So I'm going to select this unit here, and I'm going to copy it, 1200 mil. Okay. Now I'm also going to rotate it 180 mil, 180 degrees, apologies, and I'm going to take a dimension from the face to the face, and I'm going to change that to a clear 1225. So I want 1200 mil between the face of the units. From there, I'm actually going to select this central unit again because it's quite a nice unit, and we're going to copy that across, and we're going to rotate it again 180 degrees, and I'm just going to align the back face to the back face. Finally, looking at the actual arrangement, I've brought across 2 drawer sets and they're not going to work. So I want to match this unit for this unit. So I'm going to swap this unit to this unit. I'm going to press remove reference. That's okay. And what we're going to do now is we're going to close this section and I'm going to open the reverse section. And I'm going to press WT to window tile the 2 of them. And now you can see that we have a full cabinet and our large base cabinet again. What we're not going to do is match like for like here. We're actually going to flip these 2. So selecting these 2, I'm going to mirror, turn off copy, and I'm going to flip them across the axis. Then using the align tool, I'm going to align this edge to this side. And finally I'm going to align this edge to this side. So you can see that it's not symmetric across. Finally, on our 1200 unit, I'm going to select this. We're going to leave this actually clear for the moment. And the reason I'm going to leave this clear is I'm actually going to put an infill piece here. So what we would like to include in this kitchen is our sink and our dishwasher. So going back into our architecture tab, go to component. We want to navigate to our specialty equipment items. And we're going to look for our dishwasher. And I'm going to select 580. Now we have our dishwasher in place. Moving on from that, we're going to go back into our specialty equipment and we're going to browse to the countertop with sink. So this is an island countertop specifically, and I'm going to bring this in. Now this can be a little bit tricky to get your head around, okay? So the first thing is I want to note is that the orientation of the sink unit within this countertop is incorrect. So I'm going to rotate this countertop through 90 degrees. Then using the drag handles, I'm going to do something akin to this, just to get a rudimentary size and shape of it. And now we can begin to become more exact. So taking the dimension here, I want this to be a little bit tighter than that. So we're going to bring that up to a more rounded figure, apologies. 360 mm is perfect. So this is the overhang at the back of the island so that we can put a number of stools here and we have our leg space and we have room for our legs. So this becomes a seating area. Finally, selecting this, I want to change the particulars for the sink. Okay, so I can press edit type and on our sink location to edge, I'm going to set that to 1250 mm and we'll see how that aligns. And that aligns perfectly square in the middle of our smaller unit. And you may wish to go and locate a drainer type or a different sink type to integrate into this family so that you can run a drainer over this side, you have your dishwasher to the right, and then you have your workflow. You have your kitchen, your dishwasher, your drainage area, your open countertop at the back, and then you have one core area for your wet services that can run outside the building. Finally, what we want to do is introduce our seating. So your seating is brought in from your furniture and we're going to go and try and navigate to the stools. And I'm just going to place one centrally there. I'm going to copy one across. We'll go 640 mm and then I'm going to mirror centrally across there. Finally, I'm going to delete that and we're going to go through our 3D view and we're going to have a look at how our completed kitchen looks. And there you have it, guys. So that is the basics of kitchen modeling in Revit. You can generate all of this as quickly as I have done with just the standard families that are readily available within the Revit default family library. And as you can see, it's actually quite a powerful tool. So some of these look kind of shaker style, some of these look plain. The families themselves are relatively editable. You can go in and change some of the line work on the casework. You can go in and change some of the extrusions so that you can basically edit the appearance of the cabinetry without actually having to change the type of families that you are using. And the great thing about the Revit default families is they're really flexible. They're high quality families, and as you see, we can quickly change the parametric values and everything snaps correctly. You're not relying on something from Revit City or from a third party that doesn't have all the same considerations. So at least for early kitchen design development. The default families within Revit are very, very powerful. So that concludes this tutorial. Thanks for checking in. This was a little bit more of a looser format than what you'd normally get from me. But I thought that rather than a step-by-step process, this is a better exercise to do as an overview, because there's no two kitchen designs that are the same, unlike some of the other tutorials which focus on kind of maybe how to place structural elements or something like that. That's a lot more standardized. This was more kind of a familiarization of the workflows. So I hope you got value from this. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section below. Make sure to check out the 8020bim.com website for detailed breakdown of step-by-step kind of tutorials on various things in Revit. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you for the next one. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.